afternoon, everyone, and welcome to the special edition of the In My Shoes podcast. My name is Natalie Villanueva, and I'm the Director of Marketing here at GM. I'm thrilled to be guest hosting today's episode, which will feature two members of our GM family who have fiercely fought and defeated breast cancer. For those who don't know, this cause is very near and dear to my heart, as my mom passed away from her battle with breast cancer in 2014 at the age of 50. So I'll be sharing a little bit about my perspective as a family member of someone who's been through this incredibly tough fight. So with that, I'd like to go ahead and introduce our amazing, resilient, inspirational survivors and speakers. First, we have Adriana Collado-Hudak, who's senior counsel in the white collar and criminal law practice out of the firm's Denver office. We also have Ndeye Badiane, who is a senior billing specialist out of the firm's Cypress Creek office. So welcome, ladies. We're so grateful to have you here today sharing your stories with us.
Thank you for having us.
Good morning, and thank you for having us.
Of course. So I'll go ahead and kick off the first question to you, Adriana. So we know that breast cancer affects everybody so differently, and there's so many different types. There's hormonal, there's triple negative, inflammatory. So if you don't mind, can you share with us a little bit of your diagnosis and when and how you found out?
Sure, absolutely. My diagnosis was HR-PR positive, HER2 negative, which, to put it in very simple terms, means that my breast cancer was hormone driven. And I found out the way I found out was actually very it was kind of funny in a weird way. I had gone to get my regular annual exam, and I was told by the radiologist that they found some what they call calcifications at the time. And at first, I didn't really worry too much about it because I was told that a lot of times calcifications, don't really mean anything, but at other times they could be cancerous. So went in, had a biopsy done, and I was actually at the GM Fort Lauderdale office waiting to meet with a complicated client, let's say. And all of a sudden, right about 10, 15 minutes before the meeting, I get a phone call, and, on the other end of the line are the words that no one ever wants to hear, which is, I'm sorry, but it does seem that this is a cancer. So at that point, I pretty much kind of went into like this mild shock. I walk over to the next office where my law partner, Dave Kabillion, was sitting, and I tell him, so David gets the honor of being the first person whom I told about the situation, and his reaction was, I think, mirrored my own. I mean, he like all of a sudden kind of like goes white as a ghost. Yeah. And we're both kind of like staring at each other, and we're like, well, the client's here, so now we have to go sit in that meeting. And needless to say, I think it was one of those meetings where I kind of just sat there like a zombie throughout, and I may have said a few words, but I can't even remember the context of it, because of course my mind was elsewhere. And then, at that point, after about maybe 20 minutes or so, I excused myself and I told David, hey, listen, I got to get home. I got to talk to my husband. And obviously he was obviously very understanding about that. And I went home. I'm driving. I'm calling my husband. My husband was, very, very upset. He lost his mother to breast cancer a few years ago too. So this hit us both. It blindsided me and it hit him really hard. Thankfully, after I got a little more information from the radiologist, apparently it seemed, or the oncologist rather, it seemed to be that it was still at a stage 1, which gave us a lot of things to be optimistic about. So that was the beginning of this whole crazy, scary, and very emotional journey for me, to say the least.
Yeah, I mean, absolutely. It's such an emotional journey. So I can imagine it was a shock, and that must have been a very tough client meeting.
Yeah, it was. I got to tell you, the funny thing is that that the client that we were meeting with was a client who had a lot of emotional and mental health issues. Mm-hmm. So it was one of those meetings that really required a lot of hand holding and a lot of patience. And I got to tell you, that was a big test. And I cannot say that I passed it.
I don't blame you, honestly. I don't blame you at all.
Yeah.
So Ndeye, can you tell us a little bit about your diagnosis and when and how you found out?
Yes, my diagnosis was a BRCA1, HER2 triple negative. I found out by myself. I just literally woke up one day and while taking a shower, I felt a lump. Very naive about it. I didn't know it was anything. I just thought it was something like a lump, literally. Went to my doctor. Actually, before I went to my doctor, I told my husband 2 weeks after, didn't talk to anyone. My husband 2 weeks after, I told him, I'm like, I found a lump like in my breast. He's like, oh, I believe you need to go check it out. I said, oh, okay, whatever. I just thought that was just something, very naive about it. Yeah. Went to work one day talking to one of my great coworker, and I was like, I found a lump in my breast, but I think I'm going to go check it when December comes back, like when insurance roll over. She looked at me and she was like, no, you need to go see a doctor, because apparently she had a sister that was diagnosed with breast cancer, but she didn't want to tell me that a lump that don't hurt may be cancerous. 2 weeks after, she told me, she was like, did you call your doctor? I said, yes, I did. I went to my doctor because I was 38, 37 to 38. They look at it and he was like, oh, I don't believe this is nothing, you're young. Maybe it's just something they call fibroadenoma. I say, okay. While I was sitting in there, it looks like something literally just kicked me. And I was like, oh no, okay. I left the doctor. I called my OB. I told her, she was like, tomorrow, come to my office. I say, okay. So she was like, can you come now? I said, no, I'm on my way to work. She was like, okay, come tomorrow, 7:00. I will see you. That's how it started. I went there. She sent me for a scan. They did biopsies. And then once the biopsy came back, they found out that the right one, they didn't like the shape. So they sent me a biopsy. I did it. And finally, October 31st, I found out that I had cancer, and it was cancerous.
Wow, that's crazy. So scary. I mean, I think both experiences really show the importance of advocating for your health and being on top of your health, whether it's being proactive and getting checked on an annual basis, or, seeking that second opinion and talking to someone else if you feel that there's something that's not right. So Ndeye, did you feel yourself having to kind of advocate for yourself throughout your journey?
Yes, I do. And I believe that I had to, just because of the way it came through, not knowing anything, very naive about it. And then spoke to these ladies at work, and then, they knew something about it, but didn't want to tell me. From there, I believe that I have to be more open about it. I have to talk about it to raise awareness, because I if every woman need to know, like, their body, they need to check. Hopefully, with the mammogram, I'm hoping that like one day they're gonna lower the age, so people can go more like earlier and often to check. Yes, but I do believe in advocating, and I believe that every woman should check on that.
Yeah, absolutely. And Adriana, same for you.
Yeah, I'm definitely a big advocate of a big proponent of know your own body and speak up. And most of all, surround yourself with medical professionals who take you seriously and who are there to listen to you. I've had the very good fortune of being treated by some fantastic health providers over at MCI, the Miami Cancer Institute, down in Kendall, and I have zero complaints about that facility, about the people that who helped me. I mean, I truly have nothing but good things to say about them. But I have heard of women who go to doctors and are either brushed off, or their concerns are minimized or ignored, or something like that. And I am a big believer of speak up for yourself. And if your doctor is not someone who's listening to you, then you need to find another doctor.
I absolutely agree with that. So for our next question, as we kind of mentioned, this diagnosis and kind of going through breast cancer can be, or any cancer, in fact, is so difficult and just such an emotional thing. In my personal experience as the family member of somebody who's gone through it. When my mom first was diagnosed, I was only 17 years old, so it was definitely a big shock. And she was young, she was always relatively healthy, so I definitely did not expect that. And it was my senior year, so part of me really wanted to kind of enjoy my last year in high school. And, the other part of me felt guilty about it and just wanted to be there as much as I could to support her. So, it was such a kind of a balance and emotional roller coaster of trying to, continue living, but also being there as much as you can to support them. So for you, Adriana, how did your family take this diagnosis emotionally? And how did you take it emotionally?
So it was definitely a mix for me it was definitely a lot of moments. It was ups and downs. Sometimes I felt like, I'm going to beat this, the heck with it. I'm going to fight it 100%. And other times I was looking up to see, what were, mortality statistics and all these things. So with that being said, and before I forget this, do not go or try to avoid going down the rabbit hole of internet research on your own whenever you have something like this facing you, because honestly, at the end of the day, it really just scared the bejesus out of me. So my family's reaction overall, they were very supportive, obviously. I mean, my husband, I know, was really scared for what might happen. And, I think we're all scared. I think this kind of diagnosis, even if they tell you, oh, it's stage 1, you're still scared because it is something that you have no control over. The loss of control is terrifying. You feel as if your body that you've gone to so many lengths to take care of is suddenly betraying you. And that's terrifying. And I'll be very frank with you, it's still scary today. Every time I go in for my annual mammogram, I have to take a deep breath and kind of just say, it's going to be fine. It's going to be fine. It's going to be fine. Because that ghost will always kind of haunt you. So it's still something that you deal with. I mean, I'm not sure if I'll ever not feel that way, but for the time being, that's still there.
Absolutely. And Ndeye, I know you have young children, so how did you communicate your diagnosis to them? And did you ever contemplate maybe telling them about it and what was going on?
Yes, very hard situation. Like Adriana said, it's very emotional. You have some ups and downs. You have days where you feel like, okay, I need to be positive. You always want to be positive, but then you don't have no control of. But my kids, I had to tell them. A lot of people told me, don't tell them, they're young, but I have smart kids. I knew they will know what's going on. They live with me, they see what's going on. I had to tell them. I had to tell them it was hard, but I have to be frank with them, tell them, assure them that this is nothing, I'm gonna beat it. We have to be positive together. You have to help mommy, and then we're gonna be fine. And they understood. I just had some days like when they have tests, I had to be very mindful. I remember when I was having my surgery, my daughter was having her FSA. So I had to really act like that I was just going for a doctor's appointment.
Mm-hmm.
I'm like, let's just act that I'm just having a doctor's appointment. And then once she's done, once you pick her up from school, then you come with her to the hospital. So that's what they did. And I'm glad I did, because she worries. She worries.
Mm-hmm.
So my son, it's hard. Some days he'll ask me, I'm having chemo, but mommy, like you told me that chemo is gonna make you feel good. It's gonna help you out. But why you sick? So you have to come back and say, okay, I know it's gonna make me sick, but it's gonna make me better down the road. Like you have to explain. It's really hard, but we did it. And I believe that everybody's different. Some people have to say it. Some you have to respect everybody's opinion.
Mm-hmm.
So someone have to come out and say it. Someone believe, but I believe that I had to tell them.
Yeah, absolutely. Kids are way smarter than we think.
Exactly.
Yeah, and I can't imagine I admire your resilience in that, Ndeye, because I can't imagine having to explain that to children, and then of course you're dealing with their emotions and their reactions in addition to, your own.
Yes.
So my God, like kudos to you, and much props for that.
Thank you.
Absolutely. So, I believe both of you guys are in remission right now. Today, is there anything that you do on a regular basis to prevent a recurrence, or any kind of things that have changed in your day to day?
Um, this is a thing. Is so different. I know when you go through it, based on what Adriana says, she has a hormonal one. I have a genetic one. So sometimes I know people, I'm not a doctor, but I know people will tell you, oh, don't eat this anymore. Someone will tell you like, oh, do this, oh, take this type of vitamin. But is different. We have to follow the doctors. We have to really listen to what they tell you. You have to, of course, like walking did help me like a lot, because your nerves are different after all these surgeries, like the cuts, the neuropathy, the lymphedema. Like there are so many other stuff that you have that goes with it. But at the same time, you just listen to your body. Don't over exercise. If you feel like that is too much, just like walk, or try to be as healthy as you can. Like drink a lot of water. People will tell you like certain different, a lot of different type of stuff, but then you just know your body yourself, and listen to the doctors, basically.
Absolutely. And Adriana, how about you?
I mean, today I pretty much, I lived a reasonably, let's say reasonably in quotation marks, healthy diet and lifestyle before I was diagnosed. I probably, if anything, ate a little too much of processed foods, and my oncologist advised, I cut back on that. And she also advised that I also cut back on eating red meat. So I've kind of tried to do that for the most part. I mean, I'll have a nice steak once in a while, or if I really get a craving for a burger, yes, I'll indulge it. But overall, I do tend to eat pretty healthy, lots of fish, lots of vegetables. And I've always loved exercising in one way or another. I love being outdoors. I love, running, cycling, hiking. So all of that has been pretty easy. As far as the day to day, that's really it. I do have to take one medication, which I will continue having to take probably, for the next, I want to say for at least the next 5 years also. And it's a medication that I take once a day in the morning, and it kind of suppresses hormones so that it avoids a recurrence of the same type of cancer. And this is a medication that is commonly given to women who were in the same position as I, with a hormone-driven cancer.
So as you started to communicate your diagnosis to family and friends, was there any behaviors or advice that weren't helpful to you, Adriana?
So overall, my friends and family were fantastic. There was one thing though that just kind of sent me over the edge, and it was from somebody who wasn't a particularly close friend. It was somebody who was on Facebook, and he sends me a message essentially telling me that, um, well, to paraphrase everything, that the whole cancer care team and doctors, oncologists, that it was all a money thing for them, and that's why they always recommend all of these expensive treatments like chemo and radiation, and that I should really consider alternatives, like juicing or some other thing that he suggested. And I got like about 2/3 through that message, and at that point, I was ready to throw my computer against the wall. And I basically just, I emailed back and I said, essentially really biting my tongue on this one. Thanks for your concern. I don't, I'm not following this advice, and this is not helpful. Thanks. I listen. I know the person meant well. I get it. I truly do. But telling somebody not to listen to doctors and essentially telling them that the entire medical industrial complex is essentially trying to milk you for money, and that they're trying to monetize cancer and make it profitable. I'm sorry. I'm not a conspiracy theorist by any means, and that just didn't hold water for me. It also went very much against my experience with my healthcare team,
Mhm.
and I would say that that's a lot of BS.
Well, you're nicer than me because I probably would have just immediately blocked them. So
Oh, listen, I'm telling you, and especially because obviously this is a firm professional podcast, so I'm really holding back here.
love it. And today, any behaviors or advice that were not helpful to you as you were going through your journey?
Yes, my friends and family, coworkers, most of everyone were pretty much very, very helpful, very positive. One thing I didn't like was I didn't like people to cry, like basically, or just talk about the same thing over and over. I want it to be normal. I wanted to keep everything normal. Like just when you come to me, just be the old Ndeye. Don't just come to me and feel sorry and talk about cancer all the time, all over. Because it's hard. Like you going through stuff, like most of the time, you just want to be talking about different things. You just want to be yourself. So if you feel like the people are talking about the same thing, it kind of puts you down. And it's okay for people to go down because most of them, they love you and they fear. But just don't come to me with it.
Yeah.
Like I was so very much okay. Like if you come to me and then just talk to me about anything else, but not cancer. And time to time, like I will have my problems or I will feel certain type of way, and it's okay for me if I come and says, how are you? I'm like, oh, not too good, and then I will just talk to you. If you want to listen, it's okay. But I didn't like people to come and always cry and feel certain type of way or feel like I'm dying and things like that. You just, the advice I have is like just to be positive. It's hard, but you have to be positive as much as you can.
Yeah, and I'm gonna echo that because I think the day made a perfect point. It was also hard for me to see people who were, who would get overly emotional at, with the situation, because it's almost like you're carrying your own fears and emotions and you're trying to hold it together. And I mean, I didn't have the bandwidth really to also help others with the situation, if that makes any sense. And one thing I will say, which I don't want to forget to say, is that that GM was just so fantastic with me throughout this process. I mean, my partner Dave completely stepped up, and he almost took on my work as, in addition with his own. And the entire team was just fantastic, always checking in. They sent me these lovely flower arrangements, and I absolutely felt supported, and I felt like I had a true team of family and friends who were rooting for me. No stress, no pressure. Oh my God, you have to get this in tomorrow. Oh my God, you have to be here hours. Nothing like that. And for that, I will be always deeply grateful to the firm.
Absolutely. GM has been the best. Like coworkers, managers, like there is not like one department that you can name that didn't help or support. HR, people that are here, people that are not with the firm anymore.
Yeah.
I will say attorneys that don't even want to be named, assistant. Like I had help everywhere. Like people literally gave me their personal cell phone numbers, and these are attorneys and assistants. My coworkers, the billing department, had made shirts that really touched me up to this day. Like, and it touched like so many people. Like even the place I was doing chemo, they will have these shirts that they made, and then every Monday while I'm not there, they put on like all these shirts and then literally send it to me, and then everybody was like amazed. Um, I cannot even talk about this. It makes me feel so emotional. How people were there for me, like they were absolutely there for me. I appreciate Rihanna just said that, make me like come back to that. Absolutely, 100% agree.
The hashtag GM family is a real thing, everyone.
Yeah, I mean, really, truly, it is. It is, and again, it's like just, and it's something that Ndeye, I don't know about you, but it also kind of gives you this boost to
Yes.
when you have that much positivity and that much of a team behind you. It gives
Yeah.
you such a shot in the arm, and
Mhm.
it gives you so much like optimism and saying, you know what, yeah, I am going to get through this. And when I do, these people are going to be so happy, and it's going to, you know, it's going to give me something great to come back to. So again, all of which has been said, I repeat and reemphasize.
Yes, that's true. I remember the first day I came, the first day they diagnosed me, because when the doctor called me, I was at work. I left work, didn't tell my husband because I didn't want to, worry him. I went to my doctor's thing. She sat me, she told me. When I came back, they literally cried with me, like, because I couldn't
Oh,
came back, they cried with me. The days that I was like so swollen from steroids and chemo, they would look at me like, "Oh, you look so good." I say, "Yeah, whatever."
hey, it's those little things that mean so much and
It means
uplift
a lot.
you, right? Yeah,
Yes,
absolutely.
that means a lot.
So, with 1 in 8 women being diagnosed with breast cancer in the US, Adriana, do you have any advice for those who are currently fighting a breast cancer diagnosis?
Yes, absolutely. Well, first of all, I'll go back a little bit and I will say to every woman out there, get yourself every year, do not miss those appointments. Do not miss any medical appointment, because truly it could literally change things for you. For example, I will tell you that even though I had a stage 1 cancer, it was a very aggressive type of cancer. And the oncologist told me, hey, listen, had you waited, let's say, had you put off your mammogram a month or two down the road, we might be having a very different conversation. And
Mhm.
that's terrifying. But it also underscores the importance of going to your mammogram appointments, going to your OBGYN appointments, because those are just, they can literally be absolute lifesavers. So that's part one. As for people who may be dealing with a breast cancer diagnosis now, the most important thing I will tell you is that the statistics are behind you for the most part. Yes, it is true that 1 in every 8 women will be diagnosed with breast cancer, which is terrifying in and of itself. But the good news is, if that can be considered good news, is that breast cancer is among the most treatable and survivable of cancers, especially the earlier it is detected. However, even women who are diagnosed down the road with stage 2, stage 3, have good prognosis for survival. It may be a very aggressive treatment. And yes, I will not lie to you folks, chemo absolutely sucks. And I wish there were some other way to effectively treat cancer. Hopefully, there will be something better down the road, but it's survivable and you can absolutely get through it. I will tell you, I've had so many people, and Ndeye, I'm not sure if you got the same situation on your end. People who
Mhm.
would come up to me and say, "Oh my God, you're so strong, you're so
Mhm.
brave." And the truth is that you have no option. I mean,
But to
it
be
is what it is. You have to get through it. And strength and bravery have really not much to do with it. I mean, maybe strength a little bit from time to time, but truly, it is survivable, it is fightable, and you have to be on top of your health. That's it.
So true. Ndeye, any advice that you'd give?
Yes. The first advice, I'm gonna really mirror what Adriana just said. You have to go to your doctor's appointment. You have to make sure that you don't miss your physicals, because it's true. It advances, and it advances sometimes super fast, like really fast. When I found out about my lump, I just thought it was a lump because I do not have like any family history, even though they said it's genetic. I don't know anyone like in my family that had breast cancer, not my mom's side or my dad's side. So it was very new to me. I kind of neglected because I was like, oh, I'm gonna go to the doctor. Like within the 2 months, like it was the right one was stage 3 by they found out, and
Wow.
the one was stage 1, and it was really, really aggressive that they have to start chemo before they even do surgery. really, really fast. So the saying that please always check, know your body. Like if you see something that don't belong there, check it out, go to the doctors, do your mammograms, talk to people that know about it, be positive. Like be really, that's my main stuff. Be positive, don't panic. Get some support, talk to people, be open, ask questions. Just talking about it because I have so many people that call their friends that they know that went through it, because it's easier to talk to someone that went through the same thing. They will give you little advice that you don't even think that's great advice, but it does help you. Like I'm sure Adriana knows what I'm talking about.
Yep.
When you go through chemo, you the taste, you feel like that metal taste. Somebody told me,
Yes.
use like metal spoon, just use plastic spoons, and it did help. I didn't know. I would have never expect that the metal spoon will do something, but the plastic spoons help. And they tell me, okay, take ginger tea, like when you have chemo, it will reduce the nausea. They will give you, some people tell me like drink soursop leaves, like it will help the nerves, and it did. So
Yeah.
Listen to people, talk to people, but be positive, and don't scare, don't panic at all.
Yeah, that I echo that 100%. And tips and tricks, to get through chemo and whatnot. For anybody who's listening who may want to actually, get some advice from us, I am more than happy to help and lend an ear. We've been down that road. I've been down that road, and there's plenty of good tips and tricks to share. And of course, just a simple ear to listen is also a good thing if you need it. So feel free, whoever needs to listen and talk, I'm here.
Yes, and I'm gonna just add this to it. Someone did tell me that when I first had it, like actually, she may hear this. She's in the firm. She told me the first time it happened, she called me and she was like, "Make sure you get the highest insurance. Insurance is a key."
Yes.
A very, very expensive issue that you're going to be dealing with. So told me, get the thing, make sure you have HSA. All those things does help, because you don't know about it. You have to pay off like your copays right away, your deductibles and things like that. So insurance, make sure you have good insurance. Make sure you on top of it, and also walk as much as you can. It does help. And people that did radiation, there is something called aloe vera that a lot, that when you just remove like the leaf of the aloe, you blend it and then just rub it like all over before you go to your radiation, and then right after. And it's not expensive. Like you can buy either one, like the one that's on the store, or the actual aloe, like just do it yourself, or E45, like anything that's like vitamin E.
Yep, 100%.
Yes, it does help.
That's really helpful advice. My advice is, family member to someone who's kind of been through it. And I think it's so important, like you said, be strong for them. I think, you're a good distraction to them and everything that they're going through. For me, whether it was watching Family Feud with my mom, or going out to eat, going to Target, doing something that would help her, be distracted from everything that was going on, and try to spend as much time as you can with them. It's time that you'll never get back. So you be there, be strong, and be a listening ear or shoulder to cry on whenever they need. So that's great advice from you, and hopefully family members can take this as well.
Well, absolutely. And for family members also who may be dealing with this, like I understand that there's a separate whole emotional component to this on that end. And I echo that. I think that what you're going to remember from this experience, and listen, at this, not to say this lightly, but all of our time on this existence is limited. So we could die tomorrow, we could die 5 minutes from now. And it's one of those things that cancer does make you confront your mortality, of course, because you kind of have this potentially a terminal disease hanging now over your shoulder. but it also made me understand down the down the road that all of our time is limited. So no matter healthy or dealing with this issue or wherever you are in life, the fact of the matter is that you kind of have to make your memories every single day, because you truly never know what is around the corner. You have to do the things that make you happy, take the risks, have the dinner, buy the shoes, as they say, and do the things that bring you joy and make your memories with your loved ones, because no matter how much time you have left, it is what you take with you. So that would be probably one of the things that I've lived with the most since all this happened.
What was the most impactful thing that you learned throughout your journey, Adriana?
Let's see. Well, it kind of goes back to what I just said. There were moments during the treatment that I felt awful, that I just could not get out of bed, and I was very I was very down on myself. And then there were moments that came, and I all of a sudden had the strength to run a mile or whatever. And when treatment was over, it was interesting because I was hoping that I would have this incredible revelation and that things would immediately change for me and I'd have this new life perspective. And right after treatment, I did not feel that way. I was still scared. I was still just, I think I was just still recovering emotionally from it. So now that time has passed is that I can tell you that I've had this better perspective on making sure that every day brings some kind of joy, or you try to make some kind of special memory with someone that you love. I mean, just you can't. I mean, I've heard people say, "Oh, because when I have this or when I do this, then I can relax and be happy or whatnot." And I think that's the problem. Happiness is not the destination, it is the journey. It's what you do every day to to make your dreams come true. Last year I decided that one of the things that I had always wanted to do and I'd always been afraid to do was to leave Florida and move to Colorado. And finally, somehow, I think just a combination of the two C's, cancer and COVID, finally kicked me in the butt and I said, hey, listen, I have to do this now. It is something that I can't put off anymore. And truly, it's been one of the happiest decisions I've made. So for what it's worth, I think that's what I got out of it.
Amazing. And how about you, Ndeye? What was the most impactful thing that you learned throughout your journey?
The most impactful thing I learned, let's see, a lot of stuff. First of all, I just noticed that life is too short. You have to enjoy yourself. You have to be you. You have to love people. You have to respect people, and just make it simple. This journey is a tough journey. Is a really tough journey, and then you learn a lot. Like throughout, I learned so many things, and now I see things I used to just look at like they were so huge. Like to me now, I'm like, oh, it is what it is. Like I just passed through it like nothing, because you feel like that you were so close to death. Not even though I'm not going to say that you were close to, but then your mind, you think more, and then you're like, okay, my family, my friends, and then when you see like all this support and the love and how they cherish you, you just take everything as easy as you can take it. Basically, I'm gonna say the most impactful thing that I've learned is like to love each other and care for each other and support each other when you can.
Mm-hmm. Be kind, folks. Be kind. I mean, I think that's Ndeye, I think that's kind of like a good summary, right? So yeah, be kind when you can. And I think it's something that in our own circumstances and just in the crazy days that we're living in, my mantra really has kind of become that overall, in addition to buckle down, follow your dreams, and try to make stuff happen before time runs out.
Yep.
Absolutely. You don't know what each person is battling, whether it's something you can physically see, externally or internally. So I agree with that 1,000%. I think be kind, have greet people with a smile, be friendly. It's definitely a big part of my MO. So we're really grateful to have each of you here and sharing your personal stories. If we can help one person through this episode and this podcast, I think we've done a good job and accomplished our goal. So again, just so grateful to have both of you here joining us today for this episode.
Absolutely. Thank you for having us. And I'm here. If anybody wants to talk or shoot me a message, I am happy to give you whatever insight and good advice that I can. Wishing everybody here much happiness and health.
Yes, thank you so much for having us. So grateful to be in this podcast. Hoping that whatever we say here can help someone, and saying thank you to my big accounting team. Thank you. Don't say thank you to them enough. Like, thank you to GM. Thank you to everyone that had supported. Because people need it, people that goes through this need it. And then also not to forget the caretakers. Sometimes we tend to forget them, but they are awesome.
Oh, yes, absolutely. Right. I echo the thank you for the caretakers as well, because my God, they are truly the definitions of angel on earth.